If there are 5 tasks and you can tell 5 people, it's quicker than me doing all 5 after each other in a queue. With AI, you're not going to be limited anymore to the graphic designer's creativity. You could literally AI have generate a photo which suits your greeting text. I think outsourcing is a very good tool because you don't need to hire all the developers. You don't need to build up a huge team with a huge overhead because you are a lot more flexible when you work with outsourcing partners. The role of outsourcing won't really change much. As soon as there's basically more money in the market again, many more companies will do more outsourcing.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Devico Breakfast Bar. Here we speak with different people involved in the business landscape, share their expertise, delve into the latest tech trends, and explore the ins and outs of IT outsourcing. I'm Oleg Sadikov, and today I'm excited to have Marco Hülsmann, Chief Operation and Technology Officer at MyPostcard. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss new episodes. Hi Marco, and thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, hello Oleg, thanks a lot for having me.
Let's start our podcast with a little blitz. I start a sentence and you continue. Career in tech gave me
a lot of inspiration and many new challenges.
Career in tech deprived me.
It deprived me to basically become better, become more structured, and motivated me to always challenge myself.
My main superpower is
organizational skills and trying to generate everything as efficient as possible.
My main weakness is
being too perfectionistic in some ways, which is hard with deadlines.
When I'm afraid, I
try to step back, be calm, and look for a solution.
Sounds good. What sparked your interest in technology and how did you begin your career in this field?
Well, I think I have always been very interested in tech, or back in the days in computers, even when I was a school kid, building my own computers, looking at basically doing everything back then, mainly for gaming, obviously, when you're like 10, 12, 14 years old. And quite early, probably was about 16, I became more interested in development, in software development, starting probably with websites back in the days, which was many years ago. And then later on, looking at content management systems and those kind of things. Back in the days when WordPress wasn't even famous, so there was obviously a lot less in the market, and this kind of interested me back in the days.
Do you have any inspiring stories from your career that you have had a lasting impact on you?
I think there is not a particular story as such, because I have always tried to improve myself and going into different sectors. So started very young as basically a developer in this case, but very quickly went into more organizational things, trying to look at the bigger picture. So I would say it was probably more an ongoing journey than a certain challenge which affected my career or myself.
Looking back at your career, what are some mistakes you made and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I think one mistake probably many years ago was that I was always trying to do things myself, like thinking it's quicker for me to do what I have in my mind than explaining it to a staff member or to a colleague. But I then realized, obviously, it doesn't really scale doing it that way. So this was probably a mistake, that I should have let go things and to delegate responsibility earlier rather than later on. I mean, this mistake I don't do anymore, thankfully. But back in the days, this was probably one thing I should have done different, at least at the beginning.
What changed when you understood this?
Pure scalability, that yes, I might be quicker, back in the days, quicker doing a particular task than telling it to somebody else. But if there are 5 tasks and you can tell 5 people, it's quicker than me doing all 5 after each other in a queue.
Could you provide an overview of MyPostcard and elaborate on the specific challenges or issues it addresses?
Absolutely. Well, MyPostcard started as a pure native app business in the days. It was basically bringing a little bit nostalgic and meaningfulness back to the digital world, if you see it, it's a bigger picture. So it's basically mainly an app you use on your vacation. You take your photos of your loved ones, of your kids, of your hobby, you name it. And with us, basically, you can choose these photos, you can write a greeting text, and we then print and ship this postcard around the world as a physical product. So it's not an e-card, it's literally something physically we print on different locations around the globe and then ship to the user. It's very similar to the postcard you could buy in any kiosk, just with a big difference is it's you on it. It's not a generic picture 10,000 other people send. And it arrives a lot quicker due to our pure distribution network, what we have around the world.
What current trends in technology do you believe will have the most significant impact on the postcard and greeting card industry in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think the print industry is very slow when it comes down to adoption. If you look at the pure printers, but obviously we try to adapt new technologies. We release some different products. We have quotes, which soon we will move towards AI. So at the moment, it's basically written by content writers, quotes people can use on their postcard if they don't have the creativity themselves. We released an audio card. So again, having like a more physical product on top, not a voice recording or something. And probably speaking about trends, I think it's not so much AI, it's more AR, which could be relevant for us. We know there are companies experimenting with bringing digital video, for example, to a physical photo product. I think this is still at the very beginning because you will require specific apps. There's no white labels around it. So it's kind of like proprietary technology you have to develop for it. But I think this could disrupt the industry quite a bit to like bringing the two things, the physical and the digital together, which at the moment we are basically going the direction from digital to physical, but not back. So I think this could be a big advantage on the market in the future.
Could you share some more details about this technology?
Yeah, I think on the air side, there's, like I said, for example, if you have a physical postcard, there are ways how you can record this photo, which then basically translate into a digital video. So it could be, I don't know, you filming a photo from the beach with the kids. And then if you use your phone or whatever device it might be later on, it could translate in a video for the kids actually playing on the beach rather than just being a still photo. There are companies working on this at the moment, but you can't really integrate it into your own app with them. So it's probably something we either have to do ourselves or find a white label partner for it. But we do see quite a lot of potential in that.
What AI trends do you foresee having the most significant impact on the postcard industry and greetings card industry?
I think everything about generative AI is very interesting for it. It could be, like I mentioned before, the quotes, having more inspiration of what you actually want to write on the card, because some people are creative, it's super easy for them. Some people just say, hello, greetings from Italy, which is a little bit boring then obviously for the recipient. This could be one part of it, and the other part about the images. We do have a very extensive design shop with about 50,000 images, our own and designers, basically, which could be a Christmas motif. It could be a birthday template where you add your own photos to. But obviously with AI, you're not going to be limited anymore to the graphic designer's creativity. You could literally AI have generate a photo which suits your greeting text rather than having it to do it the way around. So I think those two generative ideas are probably the next thing relevant for us in the whole AI sector.
Let's talk a little bit about security. What strategies and technologies do you use to detect and mitigate the DDoS attacks at MyPostcard? And in general, what's your security approach there?
Pretty much since the beginning of the company, honestly, no idea why. We were always like targeted by DDoS attacks, by different kind of hacking attempts, brute forcing attempts, and so on. So we invested quite early in the whole technology. What we have basically, we are not in the cloud, we're not in the public cloud, which gives us somewhat more control. I mean, it comes with certain challenges, but it comes with certain benefits as well on that side. So we have our own dedicated cluster in a data center. We basically have our own DDoS mitigation in place. We have a lot of observability tools when people try to do brute force attacks or try to have any sort of attempts getting into our servers. So I think observability is probably the key, because you can't prevent people attacking, obviously, but you can defeat the attacks and you can detect them early enough. So this is probably the two main factors we invested in on that side.
Being based in Germany, do you notice any unique challenges or opportunities in the tech industry in your region compared to other parts of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, being based in Germany, first of all, is a good thing on one side, because especially being based in Berlin and not somewhere countryside, it's easier to attract talent, because you have many people around the globe who would like to move to Germany and reallocate. Before COVID, even more, but it's still a case now, obviously, when a lot of people go for remote. So this is certainly a big advantage what we have in the market. What's the disadvantage? Again, especially Berlin is very competitive. You have a lot of VC or very highly VC funded companies who some of them pay, well, crazy to ridiculous salaries, at least before the most recent crash has happened. So this makes the market quite hard to find talent as such. I think when you have talent, like to motivate people to migrate to Germany, to do a blue card potentially if you want to reallocate them and so on, is all benefits, but to maintain people used to be a bigger challenge. I mean, thankfully for us as a company, the market is turning around a little bit anymore now. So this obviously makes those things easier to keep talent when you have them. But I think this is kind of a challenge, what you have on that side. And General challenge being based in Germany, probably one big thing, GDPR on that side. I mean, obviously you have the data protection regulations in Europe particularly, which obviously makes some things slower than you could do it in the US or in other places on that side. So I think it's very good for the user and it's very important and necessary, but looking from a pure company perspective and not as a private person, obviously it puts like some chains on your leg at the same time and some weight on the shoulder.
IT outsourcing is a major trend in the tech industry. What are your thoughts on the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing tech functions?
Yeah, I think it basically has both. I'm a strong believer the core team and the core product should ideally be managed in-house, especially for a tech company. But when it comes down to more isolated projects or let's say beneficial add-on projects, not core parts of the system, I think outsourcing is a very good tool to accommodate this because you don't need to hire all the developers. Again, being based in Germany, you don't need to hire them all on a fixed contract. You don't need to build up a huge team with a huge overhead, because you are a lot more flexible when you work with outsourcing partners, with nearshoring partners, whatever it might be. So I think there are certain benefits for certain projects on that side. And the disadvantages very much depend for me on the way of outsourcing. I mean, you could do nearshoring where you just literally have external developers. You could do proper project outsourcing, which comes with UX UI, which comes with a project manager, which comes with all those things, which I think is probably the preferred way in this case, because nearshoring, I think it's a harder subject because you kind of deal directly with the developer, directly with the people, and you have, let's say, all the problems which come with it without having the full control. But whilst looking at actually outsourcing partners where you outsource projects to, it comes with a lot of benefits because you kind of, if you have the right partner, you give the project to them and you kind of don't really worry about it until it's completed. Obviously, there are some check-in points, some check-in calls and updates, but I think it gives a lot more flexibility and it keeps the core team, the in-house team available for emergencies or for like more, let's say, critical projects inside the company.
How do you see the role of IT outsourcing evolving in the context of your industry future needs and demands?
I think personally it doesn't really change so much on that side. I mean, now it's a moment when a lot of companies cut costs. Obviously, they first cut external costs before they cut internal costs. So I guess the market is a little bit under stress at the moment, but I'm very sure it will recover from it. So I think actually the role of outsourcing won't really change much. As soon as there's basically more money in the market again, many more companies will do more outsourcing again on that side. Because, like I mentioned before, it's a natural good thing to do it. And the biggest advantage for a company to do outsourcing is kind of like the disadvantage for the outsourcing partner is you can cut ties rather easily compared to having full-time employment on that side. So, but I'm very certain the market will recover from that.
Are there specific regions or countries that you find particularly promising for tech talent, and how do you navigate the challenge associated with global talent pool?
Yeah, I think it shifted quite a lot. I mean, looking at hiring people, I mean, the go-to place used to be like Eastern Europe. It used to be Poland, Romania, Ukraine, those Czechoslovakia, like this kind of countries. Because there was very good talent available, which I think is still the case. But many people also did this because simply salaries were lower, people were more accessible, and so on. I think this changed quite a bit on that side. Salaries went up and the people deserve the higher salaries. So basically it reflected the market a little bit. I mean, the strategy we have taken is we have quite a few developers in Central America ourselves. We actually, me and our co-founder opened like a little tech lab in Guatemala, which happened originally more by coincidence, but it happened basically, and we are very happy with the people over there. It comes with other challenges. Time zone is a big challenge. They are like, well, at the moment 8 hours behind, in winter 7 hours behind. So it makes communication a little bit more difficult. But for us, we treat it kind of like an outsourcing partner, even though it's in-house. Like you don't assign core critical things to the daily running of the business, but you assign more, let's say, isolated projects to the people. And this actually works very well for us. And I believe, like I said, for us it's Guatemala, but Argentina is very strong in that sector. They have like a growing industry of engineers. And this is kind of like our focus point. But I guess there are many other regions in the world, but this is what happened to us on that side.
About Argentina, it takes a lot of time to hire engineers there. In general, I mean, the process, it usually takes a few months until you get him on board. As we wrap up our conversation, what advice would you give to business leaders considering outsourcing as a part of their growth strategy?
I think the most important thing is to start like with a clear vision and a clear idea. I think the perfect project to outsource is a project you totally understand yourself and you would in theory be capable of completing and maintaining in-house. And then you are in the situation to actually give this project ideally to somebody else, because you can have a decent conversation, you can challenge the team or they can challenge each other together. So I think as soon as the key factor is for the project to be completely structured, to be completely scaled, and not to give like a running target kind of project to somebody where the end goal is what really clear, which I've seen happening in the past as well. I think this is pretty much the most important thing. And then depending on the partner, obviously quality control, to have continuous checkups, to have continued calls with the partner to make sure the project goes in the right direction before it is completed. So any issues could be mitigated before the end, which creates less headache for us as a company, but also for the outsourcing partner.
Marco, I don't have any other questions. Thanks for joining me today. It was a great conversation. I enjoyed it.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. And thanks a lot for having me on this.
If you enjoy our discussion and want to stay updated on future episodes, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you will not miss out on the latest insights and conversations from the Devico Breakfast Bar. See you in the next episode.